Recording has started. Welcome back to the Pure American Podcast. This should be episode 10. We're your hosts, Fatty and Red Boy. Make sure, you follow us on Twitter at Pure American Pod and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening on any other listening platforms, follow us on there. We're going to get straight to the point. So this episode's going to be exclusively about the Daunte Wright issue, or incident, I guess you could say. For those of you that don't know, 20-year-old Daunte Wright was pulled over and ended up getting shot by a police officer in what appears to be negligent discharge, I'd say.
I think they used that term way too loosely in this situation, just because it's like a negligent discharge. Yeah, it could be classified that, but it was more just negligence and stupidity.
Yeah. We're going to be giving our opinion on that. We will be watching the body cam footage. We're not going to show the part where the officer actually shoots him because I would like for my video to stay up. Preferably. For those of you who are listening, because you won't be able to actually watch the video, go ahead and head over to YouTube and watch us break, if you actually want to watch it. You know what I mean? Watch us break it down that way you can. If not, we'll be narrating it. So,
you can find the video too. It's super easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all over the place. I guess a trigger warning for this video if y'all just don't like watching conflict in general, because there is conflict on the parts that we are showing.
A literal trigger warning?
Yeah, literal trigger warning, which that one we're not going to show.
So yeah. Let's get right into the body cam footage. That's what we're going to break down first, because that's going to set up, obviously, everything we're going to need to know, the background of the situation, before we dive in more into what went wrong. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead. All right, so we're opening up. He was pulled over. There's a bunch of different reports. I mean, I don't know what you've seen. There was one about, I'm hearing a lot of expired tags, and then I'm hearing the air freshener.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hearing.
Expired tags, air freshener. I've seen some websites state that they do not know what they pulled him over for.
What they got the expired tags from, I think, is because, not the expired tags, I'm sorry, the air freshener is because Daunte Wright's mother actually spoke about how, I think Daunte called her. Daunte's 20 years old, by the way. He was a younger kid. He still had a warrant, though. We'll get into that. Anyway, so they pulled him over, whatever. He was on the phone with his mom, and I think he said it might be because of the air fresheners I have. You know what I mean? Because I think he had a couple up there. And if you're like me, I roll around with a bunch of black ice little trees on my rearview mirror because I just feel lazy and I don't feel like taking them off.
I don't have them in my truck because I smoke, and it's kind of useless because then the air fresheners just start smelling like cigarettes.
Yeah. But so that's just so everyone's aware. You actually can get pulled over for that because it's technically obstruction of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said that earlier before we started recording. So those are the two things you'll hear about getting pulled over. Even though NBC News actually said he was pulled over. Or let me read this news headline. So it says Daunte Wright was stopped for expired plates, but driving while black may have been his crime. Seriously?
And we'll get into that whole issue later.
So let's continue on. Let's proceed with the body cam footage. So we got two officers walking up. One is Kim Potter, the officer who actually shot Daunte. I don't know the name of the other one, even though it's probably out there somewhere. Kim Potter has since resigned, obviously, from this incident.
Woman moment.
Yep. All right, so we got three officers right now. So they're just talking to him. He does have another occupant in the car. The car, I think he's got a girl in there with him. Daunte did have a warrant, so I believe, I don't know when exactly they recognize that, but they are like, you need to step out of the car, you know what I mean, because you have a warrant. You're going to need, have to come with us or whatever, or get everything sorted out. So he's out of the car right now. Everything's pretty standard, right, I'd say. I mean, they're patting him don, putting him in handcuffs.
He's just
detaining him for the moment.
Yeah, he's being detained. He's not under arrest.
Let's see. Okay, so that cop right there, by the way, because this will be an important moment or detail later, the cop that's putting the handcuffs on him right now, who is not Kim Potter. Kim Potter had just stepped over. If you saw, hold on, his gun, where his gun is, it's on the right. So I'm just making sure we get all these details. He has the gun on his right hip, on the right side of his duty belt.
His taser's on his chest.
You can see that, yep. So he has his taser. That's pepper spray, I think.
No, I thought I saw it. We'll see it.
Yeah, that's the big question, is where are the tasers placed? Because for those of y'all that don't know, first of all, not all police departments or sheriff's offices have tasers, which is, I guess you could say, that's not a good thing. That's why I think we need to put more money into the police, but we'll get into that later. But also, because officers are starting to transition into actually putting things on their vest, because if you ask any cop, a lot of people who wear duty belts for a long period of time, it actually gives them back problems. You know, there's a lot of back problems.
There's a weight.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of people's different kits are set up differently. There's not a universal kit for each police department of your taser is going to go here, your gun's going to go there. It's usually up to, most of the time, probably like officer preference, right? You know what I mean? It's like what's more comfortable for you.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Right-handed or left-handed.
There's some places where they have like where you have to have it, but it's all based off of your right or your left hand. So, and then some places have it so you could reach it from whichever place, obviously besides your sidearm, because you're either going to grab it from your right or your left hand. But pepper spray and things all like that, they try to keep it more like ambidextrous, so you're not struggling to find something.
Right. And I don't know, I mean, I know in the military you have your medical, like your personal medical bag. That's uniform. Everyone knows where that is, you know what I mean, to get to your med kit, just in case, you know, someone needs to come and help you out real quick. I don't know if cops, because not all cops have tourniquets. I don't know if that's all in the same place, or if there are some universal things on cops' uniforms for everyone to get.
Yeah, like with our kids, it's like we're allowed to pretty much put it wherever. Obviously, you got your kid on your plate carrier or you're just IOTV. You got 6 mag pouches, and then I can't remember. I'm going off of like infantry style right now, and like grunts. I think you have 2 grenade pouches, 2 flashbang pouches, and then you can obviously put your knife wherever you want, if you want it on your vest or not. Then every military member, majority of military members, my bad, they do have to carry their IFAC on them, which is their medical kit.
Yeah, at the same spot, right? Like, or at least in the general area, because
some place that's easy to get to. So like when I wear mine, so you wear an IOTV, and then it's called a flick, which is an FLC. I can't remember the abbreviation for it, and that goes on top of it, in which you're able to put a lot more stuff around it. But like on deployment, you don't normally wear your flick. You're either wearing a Gen 4 vest or your plate carrier. It's all up to your unit's discretion.
Okay. Yeah, I just know, I've heard that it's got to be someplace where people will know where it is so they can get to it. Anyway, so moving on. So we're about halfway through the clip here, so I guess it escalates rather quickly. So I don't know. I guess she's trying to pat him down. Okay, so let me rewind it a little bit. Okay, so immediately, so they're patting him down, whatever. I don't even know what she's doing. She's got to be help him pat down or something, or secure him.
It looks like she was just trying to hold his arm, because I don't see her other arm anywhere.
Yeah, because he has so he's resisting, obviously. There's a lot of resisting in this. And people are like, well, he's not running, he's just standing there. You can still resist somebody putting handcuffs on you by standing still and, like, you know what I mean, stiffening up. We know that he did this because as soon as he starts to take off, the handcuffs aren't even all the way on yet. See? The officer hasn't even pulled out his handcuffs yet. As soon as Daunte starts to, like, run away and try to get back in the car, the officer who originally had him detained and had his hands behind his back is just now bringing his handcuffs around. So that's where we're at.
So when you scroll back, you're able to see him when he calls Kim over. He has his handcuffs out to the right. I might be wrong. I don't know if it's the correct protocol. Yeah, like, right, if you go forward a little bit.
Okay.
Keep going. Yeah, they're right there. So he didn't put them on. I don't know if it's protocol or not, and if someone knows, please let us know in the comments. I wonder if he is reading his rights. I don't know if you have to read them their rights once you detain them, just so they know.
I'm pretty sure it's once you've officially said that they're under arrest.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a prior thing.
Yeah, so it's usually like how it goes is I'm just gonna detain you. I'm gonna put you in handcuffs for my safety and your safety.
Okay,
got
something
like that along the lines. And then it's like, okay, you are arrested. I'm gonna read you your rights. He's not. He's probably just telling them like, hey, calm down. You know what I mean? You're just being detained.
Yeah, because when I was at a car meet back when I was in Oregon, it was when I was 17. And the car meet, it was just a bunch of street race and everything got like shut down. They blocked off all the exits. They detained all of us, and that's pretty much what they said. But they didn't have enough handcuffs for all of us, so we all just kind of sat on a curb.
Sometimes they use zip ties because, there's not enough handcuffs to go around.
Yeah, because I think they only carry 2 on them at a time. Or some of them only carry 1. But
some only carry 1, yeah. That's something I think they got to get extra for. So anyway,
big cities carry 2, I think.
Yeah. Especially now. So, all right. So he starts to get back in the car. He gets back into the car, which immediately that's a huge red flag because for those of y'all that don't know, a car can be a weapon. And it is a weapon a lot. You know what I mean? Think about running car accidents, running people over. The one terrorist attack where the guy rented a truck and ran it through a crowd.
A large majority of deaths are in, accidental or not, but a large majority of the deaths in the States are from, or in the world, are from vehicles.
Yeah, so there's a lot, you know what I mean? So that's a huge red flag. So now I got to get him out of the car so he doesn't flee, which he ends up fleeing afterwards anyway. So Daunte's mom had said he was acting this way because he's scared of police. This is a problem with the narrative that's being pushed in the country right now. You shouldn't be scared of the police because once you start acting out of fear, stuff like this happens. And
now there are some, what are they called? Not rotten cops, but
bad cops.
Bad cops, corrupt cops, I guess.
Yes,
but that's, and then I think it's funny that the same people pushing this narrative are the same people who like to say, "Oh, well, not everyone." I'm like, okay, well, not everyone of cops are corrupt.
Right. It's the same thing saying, "Well, not every black guy is a robber." You're exactly right. Not every black guy's a robber. Not every black guy is a gang member. Not every cop's bad. The majority of them are not bad at all. You know what I mean? So if we continue to watch the clip, he's back in the car. This is a problem. You know what I mean? This is a huge problem. So let's keep moving. So he's back in the car. She's starting to yell taser. She's going to get his taser. So let's see here. There's a taser on the cop. You see the cop right there?
On the left side.
The taser is on the left side, assuming she's running the same setup because she's right-handed. Her gun's on her right hip. The taser will be on the left. Why is it holstered like that? That's ugly. I hate how that's holstered. Anyway.
No, wait. Look how it's positioned.
That's what I'm saying. Why?
Right hand reach around.
Yep. Okay. It's a right hand reach around.
So
it wouldn't be that hard to use left either.
No, it wouldn't. That's why it's like kind of like ambidextrous, I guess. But if she's running the same setup, then it should have been a very easy access.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Okay, but so a lot of people are like, why'd she pull her gun out even though she's talking taser? I'll probably get Tristan's, I want to say opinion on this in terms of training, but right now, her left hand is not free. Right? If she was, because there's a lot of times where people you're taught, taser left hand. If you're gonna run it like a Kimbo style, you know what I mean? Like you have your gun, you have your lethal and your non-lethal out. You want to have, you know what I mean, left dominant hand is your lethal, non-dominant is your non-lethal. Her left hand is occupied right now, and I'm not saying this as an excuse, but her left hand is clearly holding or trying to grab at Daunte to get him out of the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can see that. You can see her hand right there. So this is a part, obviously, she's screaming, you're going to get tased, you're going to get tased. And then she goes like, taser, taser, taser. So let's talk about training. You know what I mean? So this is one of the reasons why I am for police reform, but not in the way that a lot of the activists want us to be. Or at least me to be. I am for more money and more training. You know what I mean?
Hence
like, that's what I want. Yeah, this is because this isn't this is, in my opinion, due to basic, like low level training, right? Just
And
really
she's been at the
repetitive.
department for 26 years though, so
I
that
think
just
I read
proves
I think I read somewhere she's also the head of the police union, because a lot
that
of people
just
are like,
proves how poor her training has been
Yeah.
over the last 26 years.
because if you think about it, right,
Wonder if she got her
police union-
pension.
police, no, I don't think so. She just resigned immediately. Well, who knows?
Well, it's 26 years though. She might get
Yeah.
something.
True. So the police union whole debacle thing is everyone's like, oh, they're going to cover it up. They're clearly not covering it up. They're
They
telling you how it
released
is.
this 4 days.
Personally, I don't think we should have police unions. That's just me, because those things do lead to corruption. I'm not going to sit here and say there's no corruption in any form of, policing anywhere, right? Just that's madness. That's like saying there's no corruption in politics. You know what I mean? People do go on power trips. Does that mean everyone's bad? No. In the case of police, absolutely not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think, like I said, she read a report that she was head of the police union, so a bunch of people were putting on their tinfoil hats or whatever. I said poil. Man, I can't speak English. A lot of people were putting on their tinfoil hats. Oh, it's going to be covered up. They're going to say it was nothing. Obviously not. Like you said, this has been released. They've done full press briefings, and she resigned. You know what I mean? She knew she messed up. And honestly, I'm going to say right now, I think it's still a mistake, because when she shoots him, or when she lets off that round, the amount of shock and fear and, like, you know what I mean, just surprise in her voice all of a sudden, where she realizes this is not my taser. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not an oopsie daisy thing. So
Yeah.
I can tell you.
It's
I mean,
not something that can
obviously,
be faked. It's so fast, dude. It's so fast to where it's like there's no way. It's like, oh, you purposely drop something. You're like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. No, it's genuine fear.
yeah, it's something like it was a mistake, but that's not just an oopsie daisy. That's not a mistake that you should make.
Right.
Because I mean, hell, she just took a dude's life. And yeah, I get like the stress and stuff like that with a situation like this. I've never experienced it. I don't know how it is. I've been through other like situations.
Yeah.
But
She's been in for 26 years, right?
yeah, from what I read, she's been with the department for 26 years. This is not a mistake that she should be making.
This could be, honestly, though, playing devil's advocate, this could have been her only, like, serious encounter of this nature before, though, too.
It could. I'd find that really hard to believe, though.
Me too, but I
in
still
26
obviously,
years?
Yeah,
In
but
26
obviously-
years in Minneapolis, that makes it hard to believe.
But obviously, yeah, you're right. This is still a really bad mistake, and she should be responsible for that mistake. Anyway, so what I think went wrong, right? She went a little robotic in the sense of her training took over, but not in a good way. Like we were saying in the beginning of this episode, not all departments have tasers. Or even if they do now, it's only been introduced relatively new. You know what I mean? Like new. It's a new thing in a lot of them. A lot of them are still figuring out, all right, how are we going to use a lethal and a non-lethal at the same time? You'll see a lot of people will have tasers, and they'll like, I don't know if anybody's played Call of Duty. It's kind of a bad reference, but you know, like I think it was Black Ops, where if you had a Black Ops 2, you had a pistol and you had a knife out, it'd hold it like this. Even Modern Warfare had that. A lot of those guys do that with their tasers too. Sometimes if they have both out, or they'll have the taser up front and the pistol sitting right behind it.
Yeah.
Because they're still figuring out, okay, how are we going to use this? I think it's a really bad screw up, and because you know, even if you've been in the force for 26 years, you're not perfect. You know, you're going to screw up, but yeah, it's still. She screwed up, but it is the screw up of all screw ups.
I
don't mean to laugh at the death of the guy, but that's a bad screw up, dog.
Out of everything that we're not gonna do, you did it. Like, and I
was going. Go ahead.
I mean, the kid was only 22, so I mean that makes the screw up like even
20,2, not 22 years old.
Yeah,
20 years old.
He was 20 years old, so that kind of makes it even worse, because what I hate is that news sources are not putting out, which I haven't seen, what his like not conviction, his warrant was for. Do you know what it was?
Something gross misdemeanor. I'm gonna look it up real quick. So I wonder in this NBC whatever reference if they actually have what his warrant was. Discovered it was after that Gannon said that the officers discovered that a gross misdemeanor warrant for Wright's arrest had been issued. What's a gross misdemeanor? Do you know that at all?
No, I know misdemeanor means not that serious.
Gross obviously means something else. Of course, I just want to know what gross. Okay, here we go. It said something of gross misdemeanor type of crime levels. There's bench warrants, complaint warrants. There's civil warrants. Gross misdemeanor. It means any crime which is not a felony or a misdemeanor. The maximum fine which can be imposed for a gross misdemeanor is $3,000. A sentence of not more than 1 year may be imposed.
So his warrant
It's not a serious warrant at all.
It wasn't even.
Right.
Again, I'm gonna say it's not that serious. So that just rises the not suspicion. That just like weirds me out because if they knew what the warrant was for, if they knew because it says that they knew prior when they pulled him over.
Well, I've seen after and prior, so let's just assume that they didn't real quick.
Okay, let's assume that they didn't.
Right.
So if they didn't know that he had a warrant at all, then I mean, yeah, it might be. What am I looking to say? This would seem like she maybe reacted under stress a lot more. Yeah. If they knew prior that he had a gross misdemeanor, nothing that had to do with firearms, nothing that had to do with assault, then that would open up like a whole new conversation.
Right, like you're overreacting to a gross misdemeanor warrant.
Yeah, if
a warrant's a warrant, but for something like that, typically it's like you just need to sign something saying you're gonna go see a judge that day.
And it said what, like he shouldn't have gotten back in his car. He put the other officers in harm, and then his other passenger too. I wish they would have gotten the warrant before they.
For some people though, who I know who will say it. Well, why did they pull him out of the car if it was just for expired tags or if it's just for air freshener? Because of Pennsylvania versus Mims, which is a law or a case, or it went to court and is now a thing that an officer, it is not impeding on your Fourth Amendment rights for the officer to tell you to step out of the vehicle. And you have to comply to that. And they can detain you and search, you know what I mean, and like either search your vehicle or figure out the whole situation beforehand. You know what I mean?
Well, if they just pull you out of your vehicle without probable cause to search it with like no smell, no warrant for drug,
well, if they have
not drug use,
if they have those air fresheners, I'm pretty sure that can possibly fall under for possible cause to search a vehicle for drugs.
Is that the only instance that applies to that law, the air fresheners?
No, if you have probable cause to search it, if they don't consent you to search it, obviously you can't. But a lot of people will, like a lot of officers, if they know. You know what I mean? If they need more concrete to back their choice of searching the vehicle, you know, let's say you get pulled over and the cop's like, I think there might be marijuana in here, but I can't smell it that well. You know what I mean? And then they don't consent to me searching your vehicle. They'll call like a K9. And then once the K9 hits on something, then there's nothing that the person can do to stop the officers from searching your car.
Yeah, but if the officer's being a dick and wholeheartedly wants to, then he needs to get a warrant.
Yep. He needs to get something to search that car. Anyway, but him getting pulled out of the car is not against his Fourth Amendment rights. It is not a racist thing. It is clearly just Pennsylvania versus Mims. Also, there's two people in the car. It's not just one person. You need to make sure the one person's good. You know what I mean? One person's good and then move on to the other. You probably want to pay more attention to the driver of the vehicle because that would be the one that would speed off on you, obviously, in a situation like that. I'm not saying that the girl posed a threat, because clearly not. You know what I mean? I do feel bad for her, though, because once he took off, she was stuck in that car. And then seeing all that's got to be rough. Oh, yeah. So, moving on. So in this case, back to Officer Potter here. She's not a wizard. It's got to be just a bad training thing, don't you think?
Bad training thing, stupidity, retardation.
Retardation. Yeah. Yeah, like it's interesting to me, you know. I still don't think she purposely shot him.
Oh, no, she definitely didn't purposely shoot him.
Even though... Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, I don't think she purposely shot him at all. It's still bad. I think she should get... You think... What's it... Is it like involuntary manslaughter?
It would fall under it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of negligent things that happen happen, like negligent instances or actions that result in another one's death do fall under involuntary manslaughter, because you did not mean to do it. And what she fucked up here, she grabbed her sidearm instead of her taser, which you can obviously tell because she yelled taser, 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 and then shot him.
Yeah.
But she did not mean to do it, in which that kind of goes into the narrative that these guys are trying to push, which I guarantee you these guys just saw the headline and they just decided not to go look at the video, which a lot of people do. Just like, oh yeah, let's flip this.
Yeah, like I said, if you look at her left hand, the left hand is clearly preoccupied, right? That leaves your right hand to draw. Typically, since not all police departments have tasers, or they're a relatively new feature in a police department, I sound like a broken record, you're typically trained to draw your lethal, because that's the only thing you have. And most of the time that calms down the situation pretty fast when you have a gun pointed at you. Not all the times, but a lot of times people are like, oh crap, this thing just got real. You know what I mean?
Unless other guys got a bigger gun.
Also, I've seen things on the internet and social media where it's like the officer had enough time to pull out the gun, look at the gun, see it's not a taser, flip off the safety. First of all, addressing one of those things, that gun does not have a safety, at least the one that you're thinking about, does not have a manual safety on it.
It's a Glock 17.
Yeah. The safety is, yes, there's the 3-stage safety where you got to pull the trigger with a little more force. No, the safety in this case is your finger. You know what I mean?
The safety for these guns is literally just so when you drop it, it doesn't go off. Right. Or if it gets caught on something, which would be stupid if you're carrying carrying it in a holster where the trigger assembly or the trigger by itself is exposed, it literally can't go off.
It's made so, because, you know, Glocks are, now at least, made primarily for some form of carrying or even conceal, right? They're very sleek, small, lightweight, and they don't have a safety. And their function, since they know, okay, they're going to be used in holsters, especially if they're used in conceals, they're going to be in pants, in jacket pockets next to, like, your side or your, you know what I mean, your lat area or whatever, obliques. We need to have a function that it won't just go off if something, like let's say something snags it. You know what I mean? That's really what it's there for.
And that's why these cops wear the Blackhawk holsters, the ones where like it has that button that you have to push because it locks into the trigger. Yep. And so you have to press that button in order to pull it out. And what you can see on his taser kind of looks like it too. I don't know if that's the button or not, but that's the same style that they got on their sidearms.
That they have that, and then they also have some of the ones that don't have the nicer holsters. It's like the loop that just goes over top of the back of the slide. You just flip the loop either backwards or forwards and pull the gun out to release it.
Some departments, like I guess in smaller towns, but the ones that are not well funded at all, some of them still use the holsters that were used for like revolvers way back when, because they don't have any funding, and so they'll have a revolver holster, but they have a Glock in it, and it's like, okay, well that's not gonna. It's the loop that flips over, but it's like, okay, that's not gonna stop anything. If you're on a foot chase, it's gonna bounce right out.
There's a lot of departments that still go out and buy their own service rifles, their patrol rifles.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to.
I would.
Which is kind of messed up if you think about it. Yeah, obviously horrible mistake, and it couldn't have come at a worse time and at a worse spot, honestly. While the Chauvin trials are going on in Minneapolis, where we already know these knuckleheads are running around getting ready to riot if the Chauvin trials go the wrong way, and now we've just added fuel to the fire.
It's like you're gonna have all those cops quit again.
That's like putting out a house fire with kerosene. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, horrible mistake. But this is what I don't like. So we're going to take a quick little break, and after the ad, we're going to be looking at how the news media took this and how social media handled this. And we're going to see why narratives are dangerous, if you don't already know why, and just how the spin and the direction they're trying to take this story. So we'll be right back after this ad. Hey everybody, it's Fatty. I'm here to come in and thank our sponsors real quick for today's episode. Our sponsor for today's episode is Anchor. If you don't know what Anchor is, it's a free service to use to produce and edit your podcast. They got an awesome, clean site that is perfect for anybody that wants to get started podcasting. They're 100% free, and they're what me and Red Boy use for our podcast. My personal favorite thing about Anchor is they will distribute your podcast to almost anywhere you can listen to podcasts. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Did I mention it's free? I mean, I love free stuff. You know, I'm a college student, so anything I can get for free is awesome. They also let you monetize your podcast with no minimum listener requirements. So if you have an idea for a podcast that you want to record, do it. Go ahead and go to anchor.fm, that's anchor.fm, or download their free app. The app lets you edit and record your podcast on the go. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Look, I won't ever give you an ad for something that I personally don't use or enjoy. So let me tell you, I use and enjoy this service very much. So get out there, let the world know what your ideas are, what your opinions are, and I'll see you on Anchor. Now, back to the episode. And we're back. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to break down, we're going to look at actual Twitter feed. First of all, if you go on Twitter and search hashtag Dwayne Wright, they spelled his name wrong, one of the trending, so that's great. That's ironic. I don't know, unless he had two names.
I didn't see nothing about it.
I don't think that was his middle name, because the only reason I think they might have, well, who knows. Daunte Wright and Dwayne Wright are both trending, both referencing the incident that we just talked about. So let's talk news real quick. This is why I am very upset at the news. All right, so here we go. Like I said earlier, NBC News wrote an article that says Daunte Wright was stopped for expired plates, but driving while black may have been his crime. Why is that's problematic, dog? That's a horrible headline.
The funny thing is, like, in today's day and age, like, even if NBC didn't make that news line, everyone, because of last year's incident, everyone's automatically going to go to, it's a hate crime, it was race related.
It's racist. There's no evidence to prove that it was racist. Also, and look, this is going to sound horrible, if you are a very staunch racist, right, like a stalwart of a racist, if they want to say Kim Potter is, wouldn't you shoot more than one shot just randomly from the hip that just so happens to hit? Would it hit his stomach, probably?
Yeah, probably hit him in the ribs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what one shot would have done that much damage to kill him.
You can tell from her, first off, she said taser, taser, taser. Mm-hmm. This wasn't a role play, like they didn't role play this beforehand. And then, like we said, go look at the video in the end where she says, oh shit, I shot him. You can hear in her voice, she's like, what the fuck did I just do?
She knew she messed up. And for those of you, like, she's saying taser so she covers up to make it look like an accident. She's been on the force for 26 years. She knows about body cams. She's not going to hide that. Well, I shouldn't, I'm just going to, no one's going to hide. Like, that's horrible. Like, you know your body, you have a body cam on. You have to turn it on to record it, right? Don't you? I don't know if they have the automated one. Some people do.
Nah, you got to click it.
Yep. Are you really going to say taser, taser, taser while you're pulling out your gun purposely? Like, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. Dog, that's a horrible. That's brain dead.
I saw a post and someone's like, well, what if she had an animosity towards him from something prior? I'm like, dude, she's 48 and he's
20.
He's
like, pulled over for expired plates or the air freshener.
Or right. The warrant if they decided to run it beforehand, which we don't know.
But the expired plates, like, that's not, they're not just pulling them over because they can see them. Also, if you look at I'm not knowing if, where they started the traffic stop, if they came up behind them. I'm assuming if it was expired plates, they were obviously probably behind them and saw the tag. Or like, hey, wait a second. You know what I mean?
Like, those plates are expired.
For those of you also that don't know, it's extremely hard to see whoever it is driving in front of you, especially if you're in a police cruiser and you're sitting lower to the ground. Like, you can't tell sometimes who that occupant is unless they're, like, all the way up. And even from the back, it's hard to tell what the race is of the person.
You could tell he wasn't in an old car. The newer cars tend to have a tinted back window because, you know, you're driving at night. You don't want someone's high beams shining through and blinding you because, you know, that causes accidents and shit. But
Hence
from
why
what...
it's illegal to drive with your high beams on when people are coming at you.
Yeah.
Behind you.
But from what I could see is his back window wasn't light, so they had no idea who it was.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. They pulled up, said, hey, man, will you hop out the vehicle? Probably walked up, so I was occupied, as I say, times 2. And probably like, all right, let's handle this situation. You know what I mean? Get the 2 people secure, and then go forward with the stop.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, a lot of people are like, well, they put him in handcuffs. He's probably going to run. You're not arrested unless they say you are under arrest.
It's protocol. Just detaining someone doesn't mean that you're under arrest.
You don't have to actually handcuff somebody to put them under arrest. You know, like, people don't realize that, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just a method of detaining somebody to restrict, which is the most, I'd say, dangerous part of a person. You know what I mean? Once you have somebody handcuffed, their stability, like, if they try and kick you, dog, their stability is not going to be there.
If they try to run, they're not going to really go fast.
Right. Because running is more than just legs. You need your arms to swing as well. Yeah. But the news media, right? Like, everyone, it's always like, a black man was shot by a white officer. Like, why? Just say a man was shot by an officer. You don't have to... The only reason there's race being brought into this is because people are bringing race into it.
In which...
You know what I mean?
I know... It's just, it was in Minneapolis, too, so a lot of the reports that you see is like, oh, well, BLM was already on the scene. I'm like, okay, no,
It was a
Black
suburb
Lives...
outside of Minneapolis.
A suburb outside of Minneapolis, but reports were saying Black Lives Matter were already on the scene when it went down. I'm like, how were they already on the scene when it was just a traffic stop when all Black Lives Matter was outside of the courthouse where they're holding the Derek Chauvin trial?
I heard
or majority of them.
I heard the defense had another pretty good day, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I saw a news report saying the first one I said or saw was like chances of acquittal, not what would happen after acquittal, but the new chances of acquittal.
But he might just have to take one for the team there, dog.
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so moving on with the race thing, right? So that's all the news is, like, he's black. And then when you have an article like that from NBC, dude, like, that's just so disappointing. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to bring race into it. And they're capitalizing black. That's interesting.
It's still the same one.
No, but they're capitalizing the word, like, as the
adjective. I thought you said their captain.
No, they're capitalizing black. No, the captain's Tim Gannon, or whoever the head of the police department is, wherever they were, the suburb outside.
I thought they had a black captain.
No, the suburb. It's not Minneapolis PD.
Oh.
It's a suburb. It's Brooklyn Center.
I thought Minneapolis PD like found them outside or pulled them over outside.
It's Brooklyn Center Police Department.
Got it. Okay.
It's insane. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to bring this in to, I don't know. But yeah, they're capitalizing black. Capitalize white if you're going to do that. That doesn't make sense. It's the color of skin. It's not some form of, like, you don't have to put that on a pedestal, dude.
They're also like, oh, well, all the cops that were on the scene were white. It's like, okay, they don't anticipate. What's up?
Is this guy white? I'm interested now. I didn't think he was. All right, I'll pause that before she can pull trigger.
That guy's white.
On the left?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the blue tint of the body cam.
That guy looks white. Oh, sure. Maybe not.
Who knows? It doesn't matter ultimately. It doesn't matter at all.
The video that I saw on TikTok was like, oh, well, all the cops were white in that video. I'm just like, okay, well, police departments don't anticipate what crime or what traffic stop's going to happen, then reassess by color of skin.
Also, unless you're living under a freaking rock. Also, it actually be hard to tell, too, by how the news is portraying it. You're living in a white majority country. an overwhelmingly
Majority of cops are white.
An overwhelming majority white country, by the way. So majority of jobs and positions are going to be held by the majority of that country, and spoiler alert, the U.S. is majority white. It's not that hard of a concept to get through your brain. So it's like it's an all white. Let's say all three of the cops are white. Okay. What does that? How does that affect anything? You know what I mean?
I'm looking up the cops that were there right now.
Even if that cop wasn't white, dude, like, he's going to catch hell for it. Like, let's say he was black. They'd be like, well, how could he be okay with this? He's whitewashed, or whatever they call them, coons and Uncle Toms. He's a sellout. He's a race trader. He's just doing his job, man. Like, believe it or not, some people actually want to be cops to protect their community and get rid of bad people off the streets and make sure everyone's safe.
So it says officer and police chief have resigned.
Tim Gannon resigned?
I'm looking at it right now.
Let me look. Tim Gannon resigned. That's the guy. Yeah, they both did resign. Huh.
How about that?
That doesn't look good, though.
Not at all.
But part of it also, though, has to do with you wonder, these people are probably resigning because, like, I don't feel like dealing with this after what happened over the summer.
I feel like they resigned because the attorney general is more focused on the Derek Chauvin case.
Yeah, and a lot of them too. Again, like, who knows why they did it? I think personally it's because, like, think about all the cops that resigned over the summer, and like, to the point where Minneapolis PD were like begging them to come back and like putting money. It was like, we'll pay you more, or we'll put more money into the police.
Even the citizens that wanted them out were begging for them to come back because of the skyrocket of the crimes.
Oh, this is a good. Hold on, that color we just saw on that was horrible. Let's see if this video shows. That's not a white officer, dog.
Is black?
I don't think so. Yeah, he's not
mixed,
white.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's not white.
He was something. That also brings
this
up.
This color is a lot better than. Also, oh wait, are those windows look a little tinted?
So they wouldn't be able to tell from the rear.
Not enough. It's not light enough to see through. The back windows are pretty tinted, which that's not illegal. Or at least I don't know what the deal with sedans is. I know SUVs, other than the front three, all the backs can be whatever color, however dark you want them to be.
Yeah, it brings up, like, whenever something like this happens... No,
that's a black officer.
He's black?
Watch. That's the wrong thing to stream. Alright. Let's watch. I'm going to skip past the part. You can't even see the slide. She shot so fast. You can't even see the slide. Alright. That's the Gannon interview. Alright, so right there, obviously. And then he skirts off. Right there. That's not a good move, though, to do. Look at the outside right.
Oh, okay, yeah, he is black. That's the thing that like...
doesn't matter, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but the thing that does, like... It's really stupid. Is like, okay, well, if these officers that happen to get into a shooting or something, or shoot and kill a black man, in which multiple times their partner or another cop that was on the scene was also black, if they were so racist, wouldn't they have a problem with that?
Right.
Because
you can see the look on this man's face. You can look up. There's a better body cam footage than the one I showed. It's a little more clear, like color-wise. There's not that weird blue tint on it. The shock on the two officers' faces. This wasn't something they planned for it to happen, right? Like, the black officer literally has his mouth, like, open, like, he's like, his eyes are big.
The officer's got to be like, what did you just fucking do to us?
Yeah, this is absolutely insane. All right,
but still, it's not a race thing.
All right, so let's move on to Twitter now, right? I'm tired of the media. I don't like looking at media. It pisses me off. Everything about the media hurts my head. So, on to Twitter. So, I'm looking at the hashtag Daunte Wright at this moment, because I guess that's also his name. All right, so here we go. This guy, you're gonna see a lot of blue check marks, or since I've been in dark mode, white check marks. Oh wow, that's a great hashtag trending. Hashtag Republican pedos.
What the fuck?
We'll have to cover that one later.
Oh yeah.
Friday.
Oh, expose CNN's above it though.
Project Veritas. Oh, interesting. Okay. So this one says from George Reister the Third. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Before people get to blaming hashtag Daunte Wright for his own death, I have a serious question. Why are citizens tasked with behaving perfectly in a high-stress and frightening situation when they are unarmed? We're supposed to comply with the officer. Let me clear that up. First of all, I don't think Daunte Wright led to his own death. I think the actions that he took, though, to resist and get back in the car, obviously, that's not something you should do. That's a horrible idea, and you're not complying, right? That alone adds charges. Let's say she didn't shoot him, he doesn't run off, right? But he still gets back in the car. Like, that's resisting. That's going to add charges. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Be so compliant, right? I heard Anthony Mackie, who, do you know who that is at all? The actor. He plays Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
He was interviewing, and he's like, be so compliant. This isn't verbatim, I'm going to say it. Be like, yes, officer, no, officer. Be so compliant to the fact where if there is something wrong, like even videotape it, that you're so compliant that like it's easy to point out. It's like, look, I was standing there. I was, yes, officer. I wasn't resisting. You know what I mean? And then this happened. Because it's easier to point that out versus you running away and doing something stupid and then giving them, you know what I mean? Like, it's like giving them a bone, if that makes sense.
Be overly nice and, like, in my opinion, I mean, I've gotten out of a bunch of tickets. I've been pulled out
That's
of my...
your half-white. That's just white supremacy.
That's my half-white privilege. But, I've been pulled out of my truck, not, like, aggressively or anything like that. I've been pulled out of my truck for the safety of them because... You know, my truck's not too high. They can see over it. And then my buddy was sitting next to me. We had rifles in there. We came down shooting. They're like, get out of the car. I'm like, oh, or get out of the truck. I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. So we got out. Made me take off my sidearm, put it on my seat, close my door, and then he patted me down. I was technically being detained because they wanted to run the serial numbers, which, in my opinion, I don't know why they needed to run the serial numbers on my guns in my truck when I was just speeding, but I was being super nice. They didn't even give me a ticket for speeding.
Yeah, that's just half white, dude. I don't know.
I know, it's just half white. It's wild.
So, but that dumb question he put: why are citizens tasked with behaving perfectly in a high stress and frightening situation when they are unarmed? Because you're supposed to comply. It is literally the law. Like, police officers are supposed to be the embodiment of the freaking law. You know what I mean?
Not all of them are good at it, but they're supposed to be it.
Why do you think they're called the long arm of the law? It's because they are the law, dog. Not that they can make up the law, but they are the physical personification of the rules.
They have to enforce it wholeheartedly.
Exactly. Their job is to literally enforce the law. That is why they are there. You are supposed to comply. This is a stupid thing to say. And it wasn't high stress, by the way, until he started to resist.
Oh, see, this guy, George Reister, said, yeah, he corrected Daunte Wright. So you got a whole, just all of Twitter mistaking the name for him when they're supposed to be, quote-unquote, advocating or whatever it is for what happened in his defense. But they can't even spell his fucking name right as a hashtag. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, you're supposed to, again, be so compliant to the fact where if they try and do something wrong that they almost can't. You know what I mean? Don't give them a bone, which is bad to say. And that's not all officers. A lot of officers aren't going to be. A lot of officers are going to be chill. You know what I mean? Or at least they're going to be very by the book. And, you know what I mean? Then it's up to them whether or not they actually want to give you a ticket or not. You're supposed to comply. Down here we go. This is this Cruel City dude. And it says, he's replying to somebody, and he says, and when you're stopping me for air freshener in the window, it's clearly targeting me because I'm black. I'm a black man in a white neighborhood with a new car. But then again, you'll never know because you're white. No, they're stopping you not because of your race with the air freshener, but because it's illegal.
Yeah, there's a law.
Literally, like, if a cop doesn't pull you over for that, it's because they just don't care and they're letting you slide. The same way a lot of officers will let me go because of my tint. They can't see that I'm white because of my tint, but they just don't care because I'm not doing anything stupid on the road. You know what I mean? These guys, whether or not I believe he was pulled over for an expired plate, because that would be the more obvious thing to pull over for. You know what I mean?
There's more, like, important. You have to be super fucking bored because there are a lot more important things to be worried about, or a lot more important things that can happen, especially in the area, because if I remember correctly, they did not hire back the police force numbers that they had before the incident. Before, you know, the riots in Minneapolis and the surrounding towns, a lot of their police departments resigned as well. A lot of them. And so, I mean, you got the traffic stop, or if you're going to pull someone over for having too many air fresheners on your window and you get a call to go to a house call for domestic violence, which one's more important?
Yeah. Oh, also in the video, you can't see any air fresheners hanging from the rear view mirror. That is because in an ABC News interview they had with Katie Wright, Daunte Wright's mother, he called her as soon as he got pulled over, and it's like, "What are you getting pulled over?" And he goes, "Probably something about my air fresheners." And so it's like, she said, "Take them off, take them down. Don't do that. Don't do that."
Because then that gives the police not suspicion. That makes them think that you knew what you were doing was wrong, but you're still doing it. And so, I mean, they're more obligated, I guess, to give you a ticket.
Yep. Then it goes on. She's saying, right, I'm not saying this is verbatim. Daunte said, "For what? Am I in trouble?" And then she said she heard the phone go down pretty hard, and then scuffling and scream, and the girl that was with them was screaming, whatever. And he said he heard the officer that asked to hang up the phone. So, yeah, that's that. Again, filming with your phone is one thing. I think the girl should have started film. But when you're on the phone when the officer comes up, I know for a fact, because I've been with a buddy that got pulled over, he was on the phone. The officer's like, "Hang up your phone real quick." You know what I mean? Not to hide something, but just so you have the undivided attention. He has your undivided attention. You know what I mean? The officer does.
Also, another thing for people watching, if, you run into the situation, I mean, some people just like to film cops, you know, just for, reassurance, I guess. If a cop tells you, he's like, "Hey, you got to put that phone down."
That is now the law.
Wait, you have to?
Oh, for recording?
If you're recording the officer for your own safety or
No.
for documentation of the instance that's going on and why you were pulled over, yeah, people that are watching this, if he tells you to put your phone down, you don't have to at all.
Unless they say, "You gotta step out of the car, we're gonna detain you real quick."
Can't you still record though?
Not while you have handcuffs on. It'd be really hard to do that, but
I think you're able to prop your phone up though,
all
a
right.
tailgate or something.
So I hit back, and here we are now with all these new ones. Let's see here. Oh boy, look at this. Dismantle, retrain, rebuild. Okay, I saw somebody who was on the left on Twitter. I wish I could find it, but I can't. It was actually a really good take, and something that I actually think, when it comes to reformation of the police department, we need to go the Camden route.
What's that?
Camden, New Jersey. I don't know if you heard that. A lot of people over the summer were saying Camden abolished their police and everything's gotten better, and they defunded it, when in fact what they did was get rid of police union, fire a bunch of people, rehire more officers than what they had, train them and paid them, put more money into the police force.
They probably trained them better too.
Yep, and crime went down.
They reformed their whole entire thing.
They did community engagement. And crime went down.
It's almost like it works.
It's almost like funding the police more works.
Yeah, everyone's like, defund the police, but we want them to be trained better. It's like you literally just contradicted yourself.
You need stuff to train.
Yeah, it's
You need
one
to
or the
pay
other.
officers while they're training. You can't just say you need to go train without pay and take leave. That's not how that works.
Yeah. And hell, even in the Army, we got paid during boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys get paid more during theirs. Daunte had a son?
Yeah, I think that was his girlfriend in the car too. I don't know though.
I hope his son was in the car.
This was not an accident. Wait, not even close. This was not an accident. Proceeds to show a black taser that looks like a gun.
Oh my god. Dude.
At least show a yellow taser like this up here.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
They literally have guns that look like that too.
Yeah, not an accident. I would like to see any person out there to be put in the exact same spot. Left hand, the hand that's supposed to be, that's closest to your taser, right? Even if it is set up for right hand draw. Because we don't know if her taser was set up for right hand draw. Just that one officer's was. Let's see. I'd like to see you do the exact same thing with your left hand engaged with somebody, and then I'd like to see people put in that exact same situation, because you won't know unless you're in that exact same situation.
Yeah.
And I will agree, this was a senseless killing. I'm not saying it wasn't. This is a senseless killing.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say it was on purpose.
It was not.
Right.
It was just stupidity.
Let's see. I own gun. Oh, this guy right here. Who is this? Dr. Eliz Markowitz. Okay. I own guns and I own tasers, and no way could the two be confused.
Click on his account.
Is that a he? I don't think it is. It's definitely not. Nope.
The only gun she probably owns is a fucking High Point, so...
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, whatever. She owns a taser? They don't... That's not on the civilian market, is it?
No, because that's a launching taser.
Gun.
That's a taser gun.
Yeah, just the stun gun or a taser, handheld one that you actually have to...
And which does not look like that at all.
You don't own that. If you do, you just signed your own warrant.
Yeah. What the hell?
Okay. Mostly peaceful mortars. What?
Portland and... Oh, great. Portland's going off again.
So, yes, the rioters are going off again because of this. Antifa rioters threw explosive mortars at Portland police, protecting a police facility in southeast Portland.
Okay, that's how you get shot. Like at that point where they think they are posting and oh my god, at the point where you are throwing explosive mortars, firework mortars, or whatever it is at police. That is putting their lives in danger. You are using lethal force.
Wait. Still at a complete loss of words. I'm saying his name because that's all I can really emotionally say. Proceeds to spell his name wrong.
Oh my god, dude.
Black mothers shouldn't have to pray daily for their children's life. His mother was white. Black. I'm sorry if this sounds unemotional, but I'm done with BS. Black people shouldn't be afraid of getting a traffic stop because they are very seriously because they very seriously risk being murdered. No, they're not. No. In fact, what is it? The statistics is a police officer is 18 times more likely to be shot by a black person. The police officers are at risk.
Yeah.
If anything.
I like how they're still using the George Floyd tag because they know that's just going to get their tweets, their views and their likes.
Black people shouldn't be afraid of getting in a traffic stop because whatever, they risk being murdered for no reason by a cop that stopped them. No, they're not. This is these things happening, these shootings that happen are like one in, I don't know the actual number. Let's just say they don't happen often. I'm not going to give a statistic because, some random nerd's going to be like, actually.
According to my calculations.
Yeah. According to my calculations, it's not the case. No, these things don't happen often. The reason why they gain so much traction is because of social media and the news.
False narratives.
These aren't things that happen. Like this is dangerous. This is why when Daunte said he was scared, right, or when his mother said Daunte was scared of the police, is because of narratives like this that ingrain fear into people's heads that you have to, because I am black, I have to be scared of the police. That is not the case at all. And it shouldn't be the case. The narrative, this is what breeds fear. This is what creates fear for the police. Not that accidental shooting, the senseless killing, which, again, she should be punished for. This is what creates the fear. Because you take something that doesn't happen very often. There's a very low chance of happening. You take that, and then you just snowball it down the hill as it gets bigger and bigger. This happens, this happens. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you want to go by statistics, statistically speaking, a black man should be scared of another black man more than they should be scared of the police.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know what I mean? It's insane. Oh, boy.
Back to the front lines. Nice. Jesus.
Back to the front. Where are we going to war? Oh, yeah, by the way, you know, justice for Daunte Wright. Dwayne Wright, apparently, here. But justice for Daunte Wright as we loot a GameStop. Did you see that video?
No.
Yeah, nothing says justice more than robbing and looting. For sure. That doesn't...
Just as they rebuilt, too.
Yeah. I'm sorry to laugh, but I feel so bad for Minneapolis, like, for business owners. It's like, hey, we're back from the summer. Our businesses are reopened. We're starting to reopen from COVID. You know, come in, do business. You know, we replaced that window that got smashed. We got all our stock back. It just looks on Twitter.
Something that I feel is going to happen, and that's kind of scary to think about, is the fact that people, like, especially if Derek Chauvin gets acquitted, these people are going to go and riot again, but we're going to run into a lot of people who ain't going to have that shit this year.
Pause. Wait a second. Police Chief Tim Guerin should resign, and the whole Brooklyn Center Police Department needs to be investigated. We're watching. No, not really. Those two other officers clearly didn't do anything wrong. They were actually doing a pretty good job. The one officer went up to the passenger window to make sure the passenger wasn't doing anything stupid, and the other officer was on his way to detaining Daunte until he decided to split.
It says Brooklyn Center Police are flying a blue line flag outside the station right now.
That's definitely a police officer right there. That's flying. That's definitely not somebody who's selling stuff.
It's like, it literally, so close out of it real quick, this photo. It's clickbait. It's literally clickbait. Because you see the blue line flag, you see the Nazi flag, and you see a Confederate flag. That's the
Blue Lives Matter flag. Or no, I'm sorry, that's not the blue. This is the Blue Lives Matter flag right here.
That's the thin blue line flag.
This is just the thin blue line flag that, by the way, a lot of police officers have on their vests as patches and as front vanity license plates.
Dude, the clickbait. Oh my god. People probably just like that. They didn't even click on the photo. They just liked it and wanted to talk shit because they saw a swastika.
This guy looks like he's selling historical flags. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like a vendor.
He just unfolded this one, too.
He looks like a vendor.
That's not flown normally. Because he's got a Don't Tread on Me flag right here. And right here.
Why he has a swastika flag? I don't know.
That looks like either an Icelandic flag or like a Norwegian flag flying right here too. I don't know though.
Well, he's obviously a vendor. You can see he might be at a market, like a farmer's market or something.
Blue line. For those of y'all that don't know, and it's obviously been ingrained into the Blue Lives Matter flag. The thin blue line flag there's a blue stripe between the two black stripes, symbolizing the walk that an officer takes daily between death. You know what I mean? And it's there to represent and to commemorate the fallen and the officers that are continuing to make that walk every day in a very dangerous profession. One of the most dangerous professions in our country. Minneapolis police just killed an unarmed... No, they didn't. It was not the Minneapolis police. It was the Brooklyn Center police.
It was an individual.
Yeah, because then you get stuff like this. This is where that misinformation starts to come into play, and it snowballs. And now all of a sudden we have rioters again in which Portland's never not going to have rioters at this point, honestly.
Yeah, they're just going to keep going.
I wouldn't start a business there or expand a business there ever.
We're gonna have another. What was that place called where they made their own town? We talked about it not too long ago.
Chaz and Chop.
Yeah, we're gonna have another Chaz and Chop.
I think it died out.
Yeah,
Sure it died out.
it did. I think they went in and cleared it.
Okay, wait. I want to see who this guy's responding to. Because look, in fact, you see that one right there. That's what we were
One
just
of the
talking
reasons
about.
Glocks are popular. The unholds are on fire without needing to hesitate with the safety switch. Yeah,
Also,
that's the point.
That's also not one of the most popular reasons. It's also the most popular reason for a Glock to be used by any armed force or civilians is because they're built really well.
High capacity.
High capacity, yeah. And them malfunctioning is very low.
You can shoot them on underwater. It's like an AK. You drop it in mud and you can still shoot it.
It's the pistol version of an AK. And they're literally the most basic design of a pistol. Like, if there is any. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen a few people asking how the cop could mistake a taser for a service Glock, especially when the cop would need to take the Glock off safety to fire. Just one problem. Most police service weapons are Glocks, and they do not have external safety latches. At least this guy knows what he's talking about. Because even though she says you're going to get tased, taser, she pulls out her gun and shoots off very, very fast. It's not like she pulls it, waits like 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She
pulls out, you're going to get tased, pulls out the gun, taser, bam.
Look at that bottom comment from Elizabeth. But the taser did have its safety. No.
No, it doesn't. It just changes the voltage, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, if anyone knows correctly,
Because,
please tell us. But the tasers that the MPs use here, that are the same exact ones that they get, which they get from the police departments, they don't have a safety.
Yeah.
They have either like a little switch, I guess.
Doesn't the switch change it also from projectile mode to just stun gun?
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be used. A lot of them can be used for both.
There are multiple variances of a taser, but from what is more renownedly used, doesn't have a safety.
Oh, let me do that. All right, let's see what JLP's had to say. You know who this is at all?
No.
Jesse Lee Patterson. He's a right-wing commentator. We don't know the whole story, but I can assure you that there's more to this. If an officer meant to pull out the taser, then it falls on training. Exactly what me and Red Boy have been saying this entire episode. And it's what you should be thinking about. Obviously, I am sad for the loss of life, right? Again, it is senseless, right? This is one of those things where it's like, even with the whole George Floyd situation, you know what I mean? I think that George Floyd was senseless. Senseless in the fact that Chauvin should not have been in that position for that long.
Wait. Still, while the grips, this article is literally related to this situation. Still, while the grips on a Glock and tasers are made from similar type of polymer, Glocks have a trigger safety, while tasers do not have a safety at all.
No, they don't. Like, people don't understand because I've never shot. You have a Glock, do you not?
Yeah, I have a couple.
The trigger safety on it, right? Trigger safety. It like what takes a little more force to pull the trigger.
Yeah, you want me? I don't know if I can show it on here actually.
That's fine. There's gun YouTube channels.
Yeah,
I'll go grab it right now anyway.
I'll go grab it real quick.
While he's grabbing it, the trigger safety, like we discussed earlier, is there to prevent accidental firing while it's resting, if that makes sense. Like, if I have it in my holster and I bump something, it's not going to go off. It actually requires me to pull the trigger to send off a round, right? One round for each trigger pull, unless you have the fully auto Glock, which no police forces have. I'm not even going to say most. No police forces have that. That's stupid. Continuing on, let's look at this. The mother of Daunte Wright speaks out what happens to her 20-year-olds. Okay. Yeah, this wasn't in Minneapolis. This was in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. A warrant is not a death sentence. They didn't even know they had a warrant. We're just disproving Twitter feeds left and right. You get it? Let's see it. So I was saying the trigger safety just means... A trigger safety just means the fact that you actually have to pull the trigger for the round to go off, and it's there to prevent accidental rounds going off without you pulling the trigger. That's what a trigger safety is.
Alright.
I would say we're going to be demonetized, but guess what? We don't even have 1,000 subscribers yet, nor 4,000 watch hours, so we're not monetized, so it doesn't matter. Alright, real quick while you're doing this, let me get the close-up. Let's see.
Huh.
Explain to us, Master of Arms.
Right. You got two variances, both the same. There's a Glock 48. This is a Glock 19. The Glock 19 is literally just a subcompact version of the Glock 17, which officers use as their carry, which is their sidearm.
All Glocks are essentially universal in their build. It just changes sizes and calibers. And then there's... Which one's the full auto one? Isn't it 23?
23, no, that's a 40 cal. So
right.
a Glock 23 is the same thing as a 19. It's not focusing really well. And yes, they are unloaded. I cleared them. But they are the same exact thing as a 19, just a 23 is chambered in 40.
Yeah. All of them, literally, like I said, all Glocks are essentially built the same. That's why they're good. They're universal. It just, again, changes the size of the actual gun itself and the caliber, essentially. And then there is obviously the full auto, which is the fire mode, but no police force uses that to beat a dead horse.
So
explain the trigger safety.
Glock 48, Glock 19, same, both chambered in 9mm, except this one is what? This is a 14 plus one, and this single stack is a 10 plus one. Same exact triggers. If you look at them, you can see this. You can see that little latch right there, right? Mm-hmm. Same going on here. These are I might be getting this right. Striker fire. So you think about striker fire, and you think about, a 1911 and a revolver. Those are hammer or double action, single action.
Glocks are hammerless, by the way.
So if with this trigger, the internal trigger safety, you drop this, it's not going to go off. It's not going to go off at all. It requires just slightly more pressure. You have a little bit of give. Right there's when it stops. And normally on another gun, you could literally just bump it and it'll go off. But actually, I'll hold it this way. You go down, stops right there, then it's still got more give.
If you're listening, he's showing just essentially the function of the Glock. It's just how the trigger safety works.
The dual step, me putting pressure on it, goes down, you can see where it stops. Goes down more, stops again, then it goes off.
When you're pulling the trigger, though, in a situation that's a high-intent situation, you don't feel that. You know what I mean? It just feels like you actually have to be exactly feathering it, essentially, slowly to actually start to feel it take place, versus actually just full-on pulling the trigger. You're not even gonna feel it pause. You're not gonna feel that much resistance when you pull the trigger.
I've had a lot of buddies, actually, not like military, because on a range, you got to be like super safe, otherwise you're gonna get tackled. You can get the shit beat out of you. But I mean, even just up shooting with some people who have other guns, and Smith and Wessons, don't get me wrong, they are great guns. But my buddies had it happen. Ruger, this is the funny one. My buddy had a Ruger SR9, I want to say, and it does have the same style trigger, like the internalized safety, but it's not built the same. He dropped it in snow up on the mountain and it went off.
Jeez. 1911s have another safety, it's a safety built into it. So on the back of the actual pistol grip itself, I don't know how many of them have them. The 1911 models.
The palm safety.
Yeah. It's a palm safety, so if your hand itself, so like when you're gripping the pistol, this part of your hand, when you come around the pistol grip, actually presses in on it's like a big button, and that'll actually allow you to pull the trigger. You can't pull the trigger without actually pressing down on that. Even the airsoft replicants have that too. It's pretty sick.
It's a great design for a safety on a handgun. But the only
you're not thinking about that as a safety though when you're holding it. When you're holding it again, it's not a safety. But also 1911 have actual safeties too.
Yeah, it makes it more comfortable when you got the safety that goes up and it's on the back end and it locks the slide into place, and so it's not going to be able to go off. But like it's more comfortable. The reason why I always tell people like not to get a 1911 is always because it's super heavy. But those things have like 54 parts when you go to clean it. Because when you're doing that and you want to clean the safety, you got to take both things out. Which I had in 1911, which I still do. It's at my mom's house. It was my grandfather's service pistol. That is a bitch. Because that's not like the new 1911s that come from like Sig Sauer. Yeah, why did I say Sawyer? Sig Sauer. Yeah, no, Sig Sauer or Kimber. which those ones are technically, a lot of those are actually built like a Glock now.
Yeah.
But they don't perform the same as the 1911 from, like, you know, back in, you know, 1970s, 1960.
Right.
But yeah, little fun gun thing.
And that's really it. You know what I mean? Like, we got to stop, as a society, we got to stop using race to grab headlines and fear-mongering, because this is what this is. This is fear-mongering.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. And for people who don't know what fear-mongering is it literally is just taking a situation, which the media does all the time. Literally, the media is just fear-monger of everything bad that happens, and they take a narrative and they push it so hard and twist it so brutally just to strike fear into people's eyes. That's what they do a lot with gun violence going on. That's what they do with, you know, the hate crimes like this, which were not justified but definitely accidental, and they try to flip it to try and make, in today's day and age, oh, white man bad, white man did this.
Exactly. And me and Tristan both know this is a senseless killing. We think there should be punishment for this officer, or former officer.
She'll face time after the Derek Chauvin trial, so she better enjoy her freedom while she's got it, because as soon as Derek Chauvin is convicted or acquitted, they're going to go right into this, because even after that trial is done, no matter what happens, like, even if he's convicted, Black Lives Matter is still going to be pushing for this trial to go by super quick, in which this one's going to take a long time as well, because they have to look at a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, because
or all the facts, not other stuff.
They don't even have something like a list of what they can charge her with. You know, they had the whole summer or whatever to say, all right, what do we want to do with Chauvin? Probably like, what, third degree or something like that.
Yeah.
Facing now.
With this one, like we talked about, it's got to be just involuntary manslaughter.
And negligence for public safety or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think because you can be charged with negligent discharge. You can.
Yeah.
But it's like, normally a negligent discharge isn't that big of a charge. They're going to focus on other things that they're able to get her on that's going to put her away for more time, because that's obviously what the offense is going to be doing. The prosecutors are going to be doing.
Yeah. It's a messed up situation, man. And as we come to a close on today's episode, just don't always take what the news or social media tells you. I know that body cam footage is hard to watch for some people, but you got to watch it to get the full details.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rely on one news source. Don't rely on the blue check marks on Twitter, whether they be right or left, because both push propaganda and use fear-mongering or baiting tactics to sway you to their sides. Figure out your own opinions, and if you end up having the same opinion, I can't help that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just try and do your own research. Try and break it down. Know what you're talking about. Google case studies and case laws, because that's what I did to figure out, okay, could they even pull him out of the car in the first place? Yes. Figure it out. And not all the details are going to be there. Like I said, we still don't know, did they originally pull him over? We probably won't know until they do a report on the situation. 100%. I know the former chief said something about expired tags, right? We don't know originally what the stop was for. I'm still going to lean on the fact that it was most likely the initial stop was for expired tags.
And if you are someone on this, I don't know if you think the same way, this is my opinion. If you are someone on the right and literally all you keep saying is, well, if he didn't resist, he wouldn't have ended up dead. If that's literally like your only argument to make, please shut up.
Yeah.
Because you want to...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
But like, just please shut up, because you're trying to make yourself seem out like, you know, you support the police. You can support the police while also looking at the facts and realizing that what she did was absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah. But you can, like, obviously, yes, he did resist. We know this. He resisted before she pulled out the gun. He
shouldn't have resisted. Don't get me wrong, but don't use that as your only argumental talking point.
Right. You can clearly make the argument that if he wouldn't have resisted, she wouldn't have made that mistake, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But he did, and then that happened. So you can't say, you know what I mean? You can't make that case. That's That's a woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know what I mean? Like alternate, like multiverse theory of if he didn't resist in a different reality, that wouldn't have happened. Yes.
Yeah.
But
You can't make the ultimatums
Yeah,
in a situation like this.
you can't change the facts. And the facts are he did resist, yes. Should he have? No. But he did. And she made a horrible mistake. But I will say this. This is the exact reason why I stick by my statement of the police need reform. But again, not the reform that all the activists want.
Not defunding.
Not defunding, not abolishing. It's rearranging and more training and more funding.
Take after what, New Jersey was it?
Camden, New Jersey. Yep.
Yeah, take after New Jersey.
Because at the end of the day, dude, these things would be less and less if we had a better funded, better trained police force.
Yeah, definitely.
And with the escalation of crimes and how crimes are committed, you need to keep up with the times. We're very much behind the times with our police force.
Definitely.
So, with that being said, man, make sure you follow us on Twitter. And we're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're getting close. I think we're almost at 900. So,
getting there.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all, man. We'll see y'all Friday. It's been fun. I'm Fatty. That's Red Boy. We'll catch y'all on the next one.